check out ESPN Film's newly released 30 for 30 podcasts. From the producers of our award-winning documentary series, this is an amazing collection of sports stories you need to hear to believe. Speaking of amazing, Delta Airlines and the Fly Delta app make your travel experience amazingly easy with real-time bag tracking, e-boarding, and passport scanning during check-in. And don't forget to download 30 for 30 podcasts to fill your flight with stories that will keep you coming back for more.
Coming up on SportsCenter, why Steph Curry comparisons actually sell Oklahoma star freshman Trae Young short. As for Steph's current team, Golden State gets Draymond Green back, why he missed the Warriors more than they missed him. And while the Rockets may be missing Chris Paul tonight against the Clippers, why they won't miss when they get their shot at the Kings of the NBA. What's good? Hey, what's up with all the bio humbugging coming out of Boston, both from Kyrie Irving last night and the Patriots this afternoon? Meanwhile, so many gifted young players on display Christmas Day. I'll chop it up about the Sixers, Knicks, and Lakers young stars with Chauncey Billups. As for the brightest star in college basketball, well, that's Oklahoma freshman Trae Young, D1's leading scorer at 28.5 a game. So our early Christmas gift to you, ladies and gentlemen, presented in less than an hour right here on ESPN2, is the latest episode of the Trae Young Show.
Trae Young, by far the best player early on.
I swear he's got a third eye coming out the back of his head.
That would be the Steph Curry comparison right there.
That was meant to be.
And he will likely leave here to a standing ovation, and he's encouraging it.
Unfortunately, we won't get to see Steph Curry take on the Cavs on Christmas Day, but let some tell it, you'll see the second coming of him coming up right here on ESPN2. Oklahoma's Trae Young, listed at 6'2", 180. Curry's last year, Davidson, 6'3", 185. Curry shot 38.7% from 3 in 08-09. Young shooting 38.3 from beyond the arc this season. But when it comes to assists, it's not close. At 10.2 assists per game, Young is well on pace to break the Division I freshman record of 8.7. Let's get an assist from Dan Dockich, who's on the call tonight. Dan, are these comparisons to Davidson's Steph Curry, are they legit?
Yeah, Michael, I think they are. I did a game back in Portland in November, and I said this. I said, look, in a world where everybody wants to compare themselves or be Steph Curry, this is the closest I've seen. Remember, Steph Curry in Davidson was a terrific passer. We all remember his shooting, but he was a terrific passer. Not to the numbers that Trae Young has, but he was really, really good at that. But this kid has exceeded everybody, Mike. You just can't do on a nightly basis what this kid is doing. But it's going to be interesting tonight because Northwestern really does a good job of scouting. And this is a team that's had time to prepare. This is a team with a senior guard in Brian McIntosh who has something to prove. So it'll be interesting tonight, but I would say comparisons to Curry are spot on.
Yeah, to that passing angle, we just saw Young tie, bears repeating, the D1 single game record with 22 assists as a freshman. So let me put you on the spot here. He's good at both scoring and facilitating. Is he a better scorer or playmaker if you had to pick one skill?
I think I would pick score. I mean, he shoots it deep. He shoots it effortless. He's one of those guys, Michael, that all of a sudden you look up and you're like, man, he's got 16 at the half. Where'd that come from? The game I did, he had 43, and I swear to you, it was the easiest 43 that I have seen. And the interesting thing about him is there's no resentment. Sometimes when you have a little guard and he's out there dribbling all the time, other guys stand around and watch, he has an amazing ability to keep everybody engaged while he has the basketball the majority of the time. But if you're going to make me choose, I'm going with scoring just because he does it so easily, Mike.
Yeah, but it certainly makes everybody better. You're talking about that 43 he put on Oregon at the PK 80. So is Oklahoma good enough then with him making his teammates better and keeping them engaged to end, I don't know, let's just put it out there, maybe end Kansas's Big 12 championship run?
Mike, until I see it, I am not believing it. There's a big difference. I mean, look, I just did a Kansas game, and I know there's a lot of flaws in Kansas, but they look pretty good to me, particularly on the perimeter. Here's the deal, Mike. It's a difference between playing a game back-to-back in Portland than it is playing every night against well-scouted teams and players that can't wait to come at you. That's why I'm interested in tonight's game. You've got a senior guard You've got a well-scouted team. I think as you go through the Big 12, he's going to have monster success. Don't get me wrong. But, Mike, Kansas has won 13 in a row.
Yeah.
So until somebody undoes it, I'm going with KU to win the Big 12.
Smart call. Looking forward to hearing you on the call for Oklahoma and Northwestern. Dan Dockich, thank you. As first reported by the undefeated Mark Spears, the Warriors, undefeated in their past 10 games, get Draymond Green back tonight against the Lakers after a 4-game absence due to right shoulder soreness. Even with Green down, the Dubs' defense hasn't dropped off during that 10-game win streak. Golden State has held 5 opponents to fewer than 100 points, same number as in their previous 21 games. Also lead the league in defensive efficiency, opponents' field goal percentage, blocks, and contested field goal attempts per game.
What has this stretch been like for you? You know, knowing if you had to, you could push through and play, but
boring. Very boring. I mean, it's just kind of a spot where you have to grow up, you know, like want to push through it, but just trying to understand the big picture. You know, we've been to the final 3 years in a row. I played in the Olympics, you know, all that stuff started to add up. So to continue to push through it, I mean, you can only do that for so long until you can't anymore, you know. So just try to get ahead of everything, you know. Like I said, just give my body a break, let my body kind of catch up to where I am mentally. Just trying to push through everything and get back after it.
Spears, I take it you live pretty close to Oracle. You better get a move on pretty soon. But before you do bounce, how much has Draymond been chomping at the bit to return?
You know, after that Lakers game on Monday, when he actually went just to see Kobe retire, he was doing his practice shot in the hallway. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, man, I get to shoot again tomorrow. He was just like so excited just to be able to practice his jump shot and show that he's worthy of being back on the court. And, you know, he had been targeting this game on Friday, but he had to prove to Steve Kerr and the staff that he was capable and healthy to do it, because they're certainly going to err on the side of caution. But Draymond Green is back tonight. He's ready, and he's also back in time for the big Christmas tilt on Monday on Christmas against Cleveland.
All right, Mark Spears looking cleaner than the Board of Health. I'll let you get going to the game so you can do your thing. Thank you, man. Man, oh man, we were one Chris Paul strained left adductor injury and a Rockets loss from seeing CP3 in Houston take on the Clippers, riding a 15-game winning streak. Alas, the reunion will have to wait until January 15th in Los Angeles. With Luke Mbamute out with a dislocated right shoulder and Clint Capella doubtful with a left heel contusion, the Rockets could have only 6 regular rotation players available tonight. But for Houston, it's not about tonight or tomorrow night or any night anytime soon. It's about solving the Warriors' problem and playing into June.
I mean, it's the only thing we think about. We're basically obsessed with how do we beat the Warriors, and we know that, you know, it's like we calculated, it's like 90% if we're going to win a title, we've got to obviously beat the Warriors at some point. And a lot of our signings and, you know, what we do during the year is based on that. What is the point of this league except winning a title? Frankly, we spend most of our time just figuring out how we might be able to knock the Warriors off in 7 games, and because we're pretty sure that's going to be what defines our season.
Hey, Jeff Van Gundy, great piece on Zach Lowe. I don't know if you saw it on ESPN.com today, in which Mike D'Antoni tells him, I don't care what defenses do, they're not guarding us. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but I want our guys to feel that way. Last year's formula for the Warriors, or for the Rockets, should they have seen the Warriors last year, was to maybe outgun them. Now they add Tucker and Mbamute, their defense has improved. So I ask you this, is getting past the Warriors going to be more about the Rockets' offense or their defense? Obviously a combination of both, but which is going to be more critical for them?
Well, I don't think you can say one is more critical than the other. If you're going to beat a near dynasty in Golden State, you're going to have to be good on both ends, because Golden State's great at both ends. I think what Daryl Morey did with the construction of the roster was an absolute home run this offseason. They are much better equipped this year to guard the elite offenses in this league. Chris Paul, Mbamute, and Tucker give them versatility, strength, quickness, and defensive anticipation that they didn't have last year. And offensively, they can play so many more offensive lineups to try to overcome teams that defend hard and well. So this is an elite offensive team developing into a great defensive team, and you have to have both. if you're to beat the Warriors.
And it's fascinating how their defensive approach complements their offense. Their switching, as Zach Lowe puts it, predatory as much as it is reactive, causes a lot of chaos when it comes to cross-matching and so forth. So let me ask you this. CP3, out obviously with the adductor strain. He said playing 34 minutes in Houston is like 25 in LA because he doesn't have to dribble the ball up every time. It's more of a breeze. We saw James Harden tire out a little bit in the postseason last year. So how important is sharing the point guard duties when it comes to this team for the long haul?
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on Harden tiring out last year. Okay. I think San Antonio just played an outstanding Game 6, and Harden, unfortunately for the Rockets, had his worst game of the year. But I don't think it had to do with fatigue. I think, though, that having 48 minutes of elite point guard play is a luxury that no other team in this league has. To have the ability to play Harden and Paul together, and then what I think is critical is when Harden sits, Chris Paul is able, you're now having one of the great point guards of all time handle the ball against second units. I think that's a tremendous luxury. I think the Rockets have a roster that is as good as any other team other than the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
I think the Western Conference Finals, Michael, is the finals this year, and I think it's going to be a fascinating watch.
Yeah, that's why when Morris says we're obsessed with the Warriors, that's basically synonymous with saying we want to win a championship. They're one and the same. You got to be Golden State, and everybody's compete for a championship. Although I will say this, that was Morey and Mike D'Antoni who said he tired out. That's why D'Antoni has scrapped morning shoot-arounds, giving them a little extra time off to save their legs. Jeff Van Gundy, appreciate the knowledge, man. That's for number 12. Tom Brady delayed his weekly media availability until today, which means the press finally got to apply some pressure to the QB when it comes to the question of why Bill Belichick, according to the Boston Globe, has withdrawn the sideline and team plane access once afforded to Brady's friend and personal trainer, Alex Guerrero. Speaking from experience, you got to be real selective when you ask Bill Belichick a question, and even then you're unlikely to get a straight answer. Ask him whether the Globe report has impacted how he and Brady work together. Gets you this.
Yeah, this is another with no sources, right? Yep. Yeah. But I'm not going to get into that. Yeah. Yeah, because there are none mentioned. Yeah.
Has he access to media this season?
Look, we have a lot of people that work for our team outside of the team, and there are different relationships, different situations with dozens of other people. So I'm not going to go through a case by case of what everybody does, what so forth. I mean, that would be impossible to do, and I'm not going to do it.
How did you react when Bill told you that he was going to do that?
I don't really agree with your question, so I don't know what you're talking about. How do you know what he said?
So are you saying a report that the access was...
I'm not saying anything. I mean, how do you say that he said anything? You don't know anything about that.
Bill never told you that he was removing Alex from the sideline or from the team plays?
Well, I have a lot of conversations with him, so those are private between he and I don't think anyone knows what we talk about. Certainly I've never talked about it, and he's never talked about it.
Mike Reese, as usual, front row for the proceedings in Foxborough. Not your typical hardcore Friday like we used to enjoy back in the day, much more eventful. You told me earlier this week that this story was not that big of a deal because Brady and Belichick's relationship was far more professional than personal to begin with. And then I read how Guerrero's instructions may have been contradicting some of the training staff's instructions to the rest of the players besides Tom Brady. So, having heard the way Brady and Belichick answered, or as the case may be, didn't answer direct questions about Guerrero's access, have you changed your tune on whether or not this is that big of a deal?
No, I really haven't, Michael. And what I would focus on is a little bit with Brady here on Friday, just how different this was. You know, he's usually so composed, and polished up on the podium when he's doing these news conferences. And really, this was the first time I can recall over the last 18 years that he sort of challenged the way a reporter's question was asked. You don't usually see that happen, but here's why I think he did that. I think that's his friendship with Alex Guerrero, and it has nothing to do with Bill Belichick. In fact, When I asked Brady, how this puts any strain on the relationship with Belichick, he said it doesn't. He said he's just trying to come in here and do the right thing. So I really think, to me, Brady's reaction was more a defense of Alex Guerrero than anything it is to his relationship with Bill Belichick.
Bottom line is, say it with me now, they're going to do their jobs. Let's go on the field to a sexy sidebar that gets you from Sunday to Sunday, but from where I sit here in Bristol, Mike, it's a non-story. And that's the Bills retaliating against Rob Gronkowski for his late hit on Tre'Davious White back in Week 13. Gronk was asked today whether he fears for his safety. Come on.
I'm just focusing on the game Sunday, and I'll just preparing the same, and we'll see how it goes. I'm tell you the truth, I'm just expecting a very good, hard-nosed football team on the defensive side of the ball for the Bills to be coming full speed like they always do every time we play them.
Look, Mike, two things. One, the only way to tackle Gronk is to hit him low to begin with. Two, the league is on high alert as it is for so-called extracurricular activities and dirty plays and after the whistle hits and so on and so forth. Three, I had a third thing. The Bills are in the thick of the playoff race, so it's not like they have nothing to play for here. So with all that in mind, are the Patriots really concerned about potential retaliation against Rob Gronkowski?
Well, if they are, Michael, they're doing a great job hiding it, because Gronkowski was asked 5 different ways if he was concerned, and he deflected it each time. Bill Belichick, for his part, earlier on Friday, said, look, I don't live in the past. I don't believe in that. My team doesn't believe in living in the past. So to a man this week, and this is the last 3 days, Michael, this has been a hot topic. All of them have said, look, this game is bigger than that. Mm-hmm. Both teams have too much to play for to let that be a big factor.
Way to come to play as usual, Mike Reese. Happy holidays to you and the family, man.
Right back at you, Michael.
All right, let's go to college basketball, shall we? Bobby Hurley in third-ranked Arizona State, closing out non-conference in impressive fashion. Shannon Evans, he had himself an afternoon. Hit 5 threes on the day, 21 points. Sun Devils 12-0 start, best in 106 years. No slow start today. Evans got some help from Trey Holder, scoring 19 points himself. Hitting from 3 there. Then on the baseline with the floater, 19 and 3 assists. 104-65, the final. Arizona State over Pacific. Arizona State, the Sun Devils, they give them hell. They're hot. That's enough of that. They've scored 90 or more in 9 of their 12 games this season. Again, they're 12-0, averaging 91.8 to be exact. 6 in D1. Only Oklahoma, Duke, Portland State, Virginia Tech, and Creighton average more. They light it up. Okay, Dallin Cuff, I see the rankings. I see the numbers. But from what you see, how good is this Arizona State team really? And more important, how good can it be when it matters come tournament time?
All right, let's start right now. Offensively, we're one of the best teams in the country. Top 5 in offensive efficiency. Trey Holder, Shannon Evans. These guards get in the lane at will. I don't know if you saw the Kansas game at all. They just carved up Kansas. They lived in the lane in Fog Allen, controlled that game. Xavier, great team. They hung 100 on them. Remy Martin, a great freshman. Romello White, a great freshman that comes in. But 3 of those guys are 6'1" and under. So the question with this team, and we're going to find out in short order. They go to play Arizona, their rival, at Arizona next week when Pac-12 play starts.
Short order, no pun intended.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Can they guard enough? Can they rebound enough? Their defensive rebounding percentage, bottom 150 of the nation. They haven't played a tremendous schedule. I mentioned those 2 big wins they have, and they beat a couple other, power teams.
Yeah.
But the question is, can they defend and rebound with the elite? Arizona has played a lot better since they lost those 3 games down in Atlantis. This is going to be a real showdown early on. Now, how good they're going to be, we're going to find out through the Pac-12.
Well, folks are taking notice, especially in the desert. A look at the Sun Devils' rise. They opened at 300-1 to win the national title. Now, 25-1.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
This just in from Captain Obvious. The Sixers have struggled without Joel Embiid, 1-7 without him this season. Good news, though, he's expected to play on Christmas against the Knicks, who have been much better at the Garden than on the road. New York's 15-5 at MSG. That's tied with the Spurs for the most home wins so far this season, scoring almost 10 more points per game and allowing an average of almost 8 points fewer. Chauncey Billups, Sixers, 10th in the East. Is this just a tough stretch, losing 8 out of 9 with Embiid banged up the past 3, or did I and others maybe bang the process drum a little too loudly as it relates to them making noise this season? Are they still missing something before they can take that next step is what I'm asking you?
Well, I mean, it's a while before they take that next step. I mean, they're missing some experience, and a lot of veterans. We all got a little bit gassed. I mean, they're just an exciting team to watch, but at the end of the day, the big fella doesn't play in back-to-backs, and, he gets banged up and can miss 4 or 5 games. And Ben Simmons, who's shown a tremendous amount of promise, is starting to be in the scouting report. And the fact that he can't make a jump shot or make any shot outside of 10 feet is becoming problematic at the time. So, I hope that they make the playoffs because I love watching them play and I like to see them compete, but they are kind of who they are right now.
Yeah, you know what? There's nothing wrong with tapping the brakes. You ain't got to slam them. You could tap the brakes on this bandwagon that I built, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Let's stop saying not enough people are talking about the Raptors and just start talking about the Raptors. Toronto gave Philly the business last night, going on a 60-33 run over the last 21 minutes. DeMar DeRozan dropped a career-high 45, including 6 threes. That's mid-range DeMar DeRozan we're talking about. Raptors win for the 11th time in 12 games, coming back from 22 down last night. So we've seen a version of this movie before in some respects. Raptors' good regular season come up short in the playoffs. Some about this team, am I tripping, kind of feels a little different. They've evolved. They get more shots at the rim and from 3 as opposed to those mid-range shots.
Yeah.
They're good on offense and defense. The depth hasn't dissipated. Can they actually crash this, this Cavs-Celtics conference finals party we've been predicting?
It's possible. It's possible. First of all, I think we got to give some credit to Coach Dwayne Casey.
Yeah.
For looking around the league and saying, we need to play a little bit different. They get up a lot more three-point shots now. Obviously, they have an all-star backcourt in Kyle and DeMar, who play well every single night. But Serge has brought a defensive presence to the team. Valanciunas. I mean, they have a lot of pieces. They space the court a little bit with C.J. Miles now at 3. He gives them some shooting. And also, when it's spaced, you can get Kyle Lowry, as we see right here, get layups. DeMar can get to the basket and get layups. So they're a tough basketball team. We'll see if they can take that jump.
Yep.
For them, we don't get a chance to see them as much here. They're not on our network very often. They're also not on TNT very often. So we don't have the luxury of seeing this team very often. But just know, they're a good, very, very good basketball team, but it's all going to come down to if Kyle Lowry is going to be able to lead them when they get to playoff time.
Yeah, and that's what our mutual good friend Mark Spears was talking about yesterday. How come the Raptors can't play on Christmas on a national stage instead of the Lakers?
Yeah.
Speaking of the Lakers, Wolves-Lakers, that caps off Christmas. But we got the Lakers at Golden State later tonight on ESPN. According to ESPN's Basketball Power Index, Lakers' current 4-game stretch, toughest 4-game stretch for any team this season. They've won 1 of the 3 games so far. That was against the Rockets when Chris Paul got hurt Wednesday. BPI gives them an 8% chance to win tonight. Kuzma 38 the other night. You got Lonzo Ball in double figures for 4 straight games, Chauncey. Are the Lakers beginning to figure it out? And should we watch out for an upset tonight, given that they've taken the Warriors to overtime twice this season?
I don't foresee a upset tonight in Golden State, but I think the Lakers are. They're getting a lot better. Lonzo Ball is playing with a lot more confidence. He's making some shots. I think he's figuring some things out, how guys are starting to play him. Kuzma, I think, is, his game is just pro-ready. I mean, he's just a professional. He's just really, really good. I mean, his game is built for the way that they play today. But even, look here, Corey Brewer, some of the veterans are these guys just play hard and they believe that they're playing fast and that they can win a game and beat a team on any given night.
Yeah, Lakers fans are impatient and rightfully so, but this year was about growth anyway, and we're starting to see it as the season goes on. What's up, Big Wood?
What's going on, baby?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Can't complain. Happy holidays
to you.
We'd have both made more money than Bitcoin lately. Tough couple of days, but more money than Bitcoin lately. If we'd have both predicted and bet that Jaguars 49ers would be an interesting matchup, especially at the quarterback position, coming into week 16, and yet here we are. We talked a lot about Blake Bortles this week. I want to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, man. Game-winning drive against the Titans. Him being mic'd up and the way he was managing the sidelines and his teammates on that game-winning drive was fascinating. That came out earlier this week. And, man, you look at a Jimmy Garoppolo, how does a guy And granted, he got to watch Tom Brady, learn from Tom Brady in the New England system. But we've seen guys not always take that success from New England and bring it to their new team. He gets traded mid-season. How does a guy come in and win his first 3 starts on a San Francisco team when, with all due respect, his top targets are Marquise Goodwin and George Kittle and Selleck? I mean, how is he doing this? How has he displayed this much poise? Is this Kyle Shanahan? Is it just Jimmy Garoppolo has that it factor?
Well, I think it's a couple things. One, you can't underestimate how good of a coach Kyle Shanahan is. He's really good.
They missed him in Atlanta?
You see what's happening with Matt Ryan right now.
Yeah.
His numbers have dropped off the cliff somewhat. And, part of it is Jimmy Garoppolo, the system that he came from in New England, he's well-schooled, man. Mm-hmm. That system, you have to, it's a combination of all the systems in the National Football League. So he's well-versed in whatever system that Kyle Shanahan is running. And listen, they've embraced him. Mm-hmm. The great thing about this whole Jimmy Garoppolo thing, people will start throwing around the word elite. I think it's early.
Who did?
There's people that are throwing around stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what he does bring is an energy to a franchise. Yeah. And there's something to finishing off a season with momentum.
Going into the next year. Yes,
so I would say, watch out for the 49ers next year.
No question.
It's going to be an interesting NFC West.
Yeah, John Lynch talked about putting pieces around him as the primary goal for the draft. You can see why so many people were hiring him coming out of school. He's got it. Might have been a steal getting him for just a second-round pick. Let's stay in the NFC West, and the guy that's looked elite-ish this year, Jared Goff. Didn't realize this until earlier. Sunday is the first time the Titans and the Rams meet since the trade in 2016 that got the Rams the number 1 pick. If Jeff Fisher were still coaching the Rams, first and foremost, they would suck. But secondly, he would definitely trot out Jared Goff. Because, remember what he did with RJ? You like to show off who you got in return. But this looks like a rare win-win situation when you look at what the Titans got. I know Corey Davis, 5th overall pick, wide receivers take a second. Derrick Henry looks like whenever he becomes a guy, he might be pretty good. Conklin was an all-pro as a rookie. So if you had to pick, who got the better of this deal? The Rams getting their franchise quarterback, or the Titans who already had a quarterback getting some pieces to complement him? Or it's just, hey, win-win is what it is.
I think right now it's win-win. I mean, you got to understand Marcus Mariota was already with the Titans. Yeah. So these guys are all complementary pieces to go along with Marcus Mariota. What I think is fascinating is Marcus Mariota is trending downward, whether it's due to injury, I don't know, whatever the case is, but he hasn't played his best this season. Yeah. Whereas you see with Jared Goff, in particular with Sean McVay as a coach, man, he is on another level this year. So if you're the Los Angeles Rams, you're thinking, yeah, we gave up a bounty, but at the end of the day, we got our guy. Yeah. We got a guy that's going to lead us for 10 plus years.
I said it when the trade went down. If you think he might be the guy,
go get him.
You go get him. A lot of people are like, there's no top quarterback. Nobody. It's not worth trading up for. Jared Goff, Carson Wentz. A lot of people would have loved to have made that move back then. So if you think you got a guy, you go get him. Appreciate it, man. You a guy.
Yeah.
All right, a couple of guys at UCLA still dealing with the fallout from that shoplifting incident in China. UCLA announced today that Cody Riley and Jalen Hill suspended through the conclusion of the 2017-18 season. Riley and Hill, of course, both arrested along with LiAngelo Ball on shoplifting charges in China. Of course, LiAngelo and LaMelo have since signed to play professionally in Lithuania. Here's a portion of the statement from UCLA head coach Steve Alford. Since returning from China, they have done everything asked of them and continue to work hard in the classroom and in their own personal workouts. I've told our players all along that actions have consequences. And the season-long suspension shows how seriously we take their misconduct. Though they will not suit up for games or travel with the team, I look forward to their return after the Christmas holiday. I'm confident that they will make significant contributions to the university moving forward. So that indefinite suspension now has some definition. Meanwhile, Central Michigan honored one of its own today wearing Dick Enberg's famous, "Oh my," I can't even do it justice, his catchphrase on its helmets today during the Potato Bowl against Wyoming. The broadcasting legend, of course, died Thursday at age 82. John Anderson has more on the man who narrated many of the most memorable moments in recent sports history.
Oh, my! Oh, my! Oh, my! Oh, my, what a career. What a life. One of the great voices in American sports. A Michigan kid who made his professional name in California. He called UCLA games during the Wooden Dynasty and started a historic run of his own. Exuberant, affable, and everywhere. Name a network. NBC, CBS, ESPN. Name a sport.
Touchdown!
Super Bowls, 9 of them.
First and goal.
Rose Bowls, 9.
It's all over.
Final Fours, 15. Breakfast at Wimbledon, 28 times. 71 tennis Grand Slams in all. And he sounded exactly like he looked. Well-dressed, distinguished, perpetually tan. He did games, he did a game show, and he'd be the answer to the question, who called Magic and Bird for the national title?
Michigan State University, national champions, 1979.
The Drive.
Touchdown, Mark Jackson.
The Olympics? Of course. The game of the century? Naturally.
And pandemonium at the Astrodome.
The quintessential pro, he made his partners as prominent as the play-by-play man. Bud Collins, Merlin Olsen, Billy Packer, and Al McGuire. Joyful and versatile, he has a spot in football, basketball, and baseball's Hall of Fames.
Oh my, never have those two words expressed more personal joy than at this very moment.
And it was baseball he loved the best, and the game that called him back to the booth, the broadcast Padre games at age 75.
His 148th pitch, Tim Lincecum, has joined the no-hit heroes. Oh my.
Finally gave it up at 81. Dick Enberg, dead at the age of 82.
Good old Bill Walton had a Kerry champion moment. Nobody told him about Dave Pasch's pet.
Have you ever seen a dog and a cat fight?
Yes.
Who wins in your household? How's Baxter doing?
He died 3 years ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
The bad man punted Baxter. Come on, man. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. That's Contavious Caldwell Pope. Weird story. Violated his probation, serving a 25-day sentence, but it allows him to play games in California, leave the facility, long as he wears a GPS monitor. So it's like a real-life Jake Shuttlesworth, he got game situation. Odd story. Bottom line is, don't do 17 to 25. That's the doing too much here. I don't know how he got this program, but still, 17 to 25, somebody could have been hurt. Michael Beasley gave Boston buckets for Christmas. Season high 32 in 25 minutes with 28 coming in the second half. Asked when he started having the hot hand, my man said from birth. January 9th, 1989 is the number. And Knicks fans taking all the meaning out of this tradition. Oh, yeah, Beasley pulled down 12 boards. Second 30-point game in the week, I believe. Averaging 28 and 8.7 rebounds over the last three. Knicks, 3 games over 500. Number 8 in the East. Can't wait to see what Beasley does on Christmas. It's just good to see him in the limelight, to be honest with you. Such a personality and obviously a talent. Hadn't always been able to put it together, but certainly doing it for the Knicks. On the flip side, Kyrie, bah humbug.
Hoopla on Christmas I don't really get into that. I don't really necessarily think of Christmas as a holiday. So, I'm just happy that I get to be with my family. So, looking forward to playing in front of the fans on the 25th. And, just playing against a high-level Washington team and going against, great guys in there. And then, of course, opening presents and, that whole thing. So.
That sounds so enthused. See, what Kyrie is saying is the commercialization of this holiday has led to an over-infatuation with the materialism paradigm as it relates to Christmas. You see what I'm saying? No, I get it, man. It can be stressful. It can be stressful if you let it, okay? Come on, Kyrie. Cheer up. Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, in sync on and off the court. Case in point during last night's Jazz-Spurs game. Both on the bench, that's what when you spend so much time around somebody, just on the same wavelength. After the game, Manu tweeted, "Loved it. We rehearsed it so many times in these 15 years." All right, Dallin Cuff is back with us now. Let's talk Trae Young. What makes him so special?
The kid's an absolute killer in pick-and-roll game. He's got great decision-making. He's got great instincts. He reads and diagnoses his defense so quickly. Now, what you're going to see here is a game against Wichita State, one of the best defensive teams in the nation. This is the first possession of the game. Bad communication. If you make a mistake, he makes you pay. Beautiful floater. Here, they get the hedge out. Now both defenders come. Shaq Morris tries to retreat. Zach Brown underneath the hoop. Lets 2 play 1. Doesn't get there in time. You see the vision. He throws an absolute dime to Brady Manick. Now you come out. Again, make a mistake, there's poor communication, he can knock it down range out to 26 feet. So now let's blitz the ball screen. Let's get it out of his hands. Well, he sees it right away as the big is going to step up. Great change of pace, right down Broadway. Takes the hit and the harm. Big play by him. This kid, his ability to see what's coming, and Greg Marshall said they threw everything at him. Yeah. Every way you can guard a pick and roll, he just carved it up. It didn't make a difference.
Nobody's got an answer for him lately. Just to give you an idea what kind of role Young is on right now, his last 3 games scored 25 or more in each.
That's a career for some people, by the way.
26 and 22 on Tuesday. That's what we're so excited to see him tonight on ESPN2. How far can he take this team?
That's the question. I mean, people like to think about Kemba Walker and Shabazz Napier. We saw those two dynamic guards take over the tournament and lead their team to championships. Difference, Shabazz was a senior. He was a freshman on the team when Kemba did it. Kemba was a junior. Trae Young's going to take this team into Big 12 play, and that's where things are going to get real interesting because there's a lot of really good defensive teams. West Virginia, Texas A&M, Texas Tech is a team people don't talk about that can really guard in a senior laden. So we'll see how he does when teams have time to game plan for him. He's in true road environments. It's going to be really tough for him, but we'll see how much he becomes weathered, how much he learns. But he has all the skill set you could ever want in any point guard right now in his game. And to be a freshman and do it this level,
crazy.
It's mind-blowing. Now, let's see how good he gets to the Big 12. And if you ask me that question again in March, I might have a different answer then. We'll see how it goes.
Hopefully he's still playing. We'll see how far he can take him. But in the meantime, we'll all just sit back and enjoy the ride. Enjoy your commentary, man.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Ben.
it.
Appreciate it.
All right. All right, before I call it a day, here's who had a good day. TJ McConnell getting a pretty sweet Christmas gift from one of his teammates they call TLC. That's dope. White Iverson. Speaking of Iverson, only AI can manage to make an elf costume look cool. Nobody else can pull that off. I know I can't. Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year to you all. God willing, the creek don't rise. We'll see y'all January 2nd. That's it for the 6th tonight. Northwestern in Oklahoma, Trae Young. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about him in the new year. We'll see y'all later. God bless.